Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Wilton Report. I am Josh Wilton. This week, we will be talking about getting your MBA in Princeton real estate, especially focused on sellers. Also, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you back here in 1 second. Okay, everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of the Wilton Report, Princeton and Greater Princeton's only dedicated real estate podcast and videocast. My name is Josh Wilton, and I'm co-owner of Queenston Realty here in Princeton, and the Wilton Group, and Princeton Property Management Services, and Princeton Home Connections. And we're launching a new company called Princeton Property Works, et cetera, et cetera. So busy people here, not what you're here to hear about. We're here to talk about the market and what's going on in the market. Before we begin, if you're thinking of selling your home, really, this is geared towards next year at this point. I'm hosting 3 seller seminars. These max at about 10, 12 people. So they are going to be catered. The October 23rd dinner will be catered by Teresa's Cafe in Princeton. November 13th, I think I'm going to have it catered by Olives. And December the 18th, where else could you get breakfast catered from Princeton other than PJ's Pancake House? So it is limited. It is very focused on how to maximize your equity as a seller. I'll be presenting. John Walsh from Walsh Senior Solutions will be presenting. One of our staging partners will be presenting, and a local attorney will be presenting on estate planning and making a move, mitigating your taxes. So if you want to book your seat because you listened to the Wilton Report, the invites for this are about to go out. Please get ahead of it because, like I said, seating is limited. You can text me at 609-773-8054. Just put in the text seller seminar and I will save your seat. So again, seating is going to be extremely limited for these. These are very focused on maximizing your equity as a seller. So continue with the MBA in Princeton and Greater Princeton Real Estate Series. Reminder, don't actually tell anybody you got your MBA because you'll be arrested for fraud. Again, in the beginning of July in Princeton, there were 63 properties, 53% above $2 million. Fast forward to August, 54% above $2 million. Today, the 26th, 66 properties for sale, 48% above $2 million. And today, only a few days later, 68 properties for sale. So definitely trending in the right direction in Princeton, which is exciting. A bunch of these have contracts. There's final and best offers going out on a lot of these. But again, good news overall in the Princeton market. Inventory is moving in the right direction. Even though we're selling it, it is coming on the market, which is great. West Windsor, which the next episode we're dedicating to West Windsor Plainsboro exclusively, continues to be scintillatingly hot. There's only 46 homes for sale in West Windsor. Only 11 have been reduced. 5 sellers made the decision to increase the price. Never quite understand that. And they have more under contract than they do active in West Windsor. So West Windsor continues to be scintillating in the market. So today, again, we're focused on sellers, and we've been focused on, pricing, understanding the market, looking at things from buyers and sellers, doing case studies, which we've gotten great feedback on. So I want to talk about a topic in real estate that I think is somewhat misunderstood. So what do you want to do if you don't want to sell your home? And I'm not talking super luxe houses, like $4 million houses or something like that, where, you have to be a little more guarded perhaps than not. I'm just talking, a house in Princeton, West Windsor, Plainsboro. If you don't want to sell it for the top dollar, don't host an open house. And I can understand as a seller why you would not want to have an open house at your home. Strangers coming in your home, but they're coming in anyway, right? So I want to explain it like this to a seller. The only way to determine your home's value, ultimately, is put it on the market, not do what Robert Refkin from Compass is telling people to do and keep it off market, right? You have to expose it to the market. You have to get people in it. Your house sells in direct proportion to the number of people that see it. So if you're being told I should do a private exclusive, you're leaving money on the table. Full stop. Don't care. They're full of it at Compass. It is what it is. You have to get people in the house. Period. End of story. The other thing, and I mentioned this in the last episode, as a seller, you have to look at things through the eyes of the buyers that you want to come to your house because you want to take their money. Now, buyers, if you're looking at a house, you want to look at it through the eyes of the seller because you want the product they're bringing to the market. So as a seller, I'll say this, there's two types of buyers. I've always called them in my 20-year career, aligned and unaligned buyers. An aligned buyer by today's standard is someone who signed an exclusive buyer contract with an agent. That is the law. I realize a lot of agents are not doing that. We are working with a lot of buyers today who were working with other agents a month ago and have fired them because we get better results. Few of them had buyer contracts signed. It is illegal. It is the law. That being said, agents who are working with aligned buyers, people that have contracts signed, these buyers have met with an agent. They've signed a contract. They're out looking at homes. Hopefully they understand the market, though based on what we see, a lot of them don't. Hopefully they know how to put a good bid in. Hopefully they've reviewed the contract. Hopefully they have an attorney lined up. These are all things that we do at the Wilton Group as part of getting our buyers ready to compete in the market. So that's what an aligned buyer, an exclusive buyer that's under contract with an agent to see houses. That's aligned. Unaligned are people who are not working with an agent. And I would say today, I would say that accounts for 50% of the market. So you have people, they're looking on Zillow, they're looking on realtor.com, they're looking on Trulia, whatever platform, homes.com, because they're spending a ton of money. They're looking on these sites, they're going out, they're doing research, they're going into homes physically at open houses, and they're trying it on without having talked to an agent. So as a seller, if your agent doesn't host an open house, I will tell you from 20 years experience and brokering over $2 billion in real estate in this market, you as a seller are not getting all of the potential buyers for your home in your home. Period. Full stop. End of story. No dispute. Nothing. And again, I'm not talking super luxe. I'm not talking 3.5, maybe $3.8 million, right? But Edel Farm homes that used to be $1 million are now $2 million, right? The homes haven't gotten that much more grand. It's just gotten that much more expensive. So again, as a seller, if you don't have an open house, you're missing the unaligned buyers. And what do? They wait for the house to come on. They go to the house and they try it on. They'll talk to the agent there. They'll talk to the listing agent. They'll talk to the agent hosting the open house. So again, as a seller, if you're working with an agent at a traditional brokerage, which we are not, the probability of that agent at the open house being brand new and have no clue what they're doing is high. We don't have that at Queenston. Part of this is who you align yourself with as a seller and who the agent you're working with aligns themselves with in an office. Not a problem here. So just as a seller, again, if your house sells in direct proportion to the number of people that see it, if you don't put it on the internet and you do an office exclusive, you're going to get creamed. You're going to get crushed by the market. You'll lose money, right? You'll leave money on the table, I should say. The other piece of it is if you don't host an open house, you're missing the people that are looking for real estate that have not signed an exclusive contract with a buyer's agent yet. And those are the people you want to bid on your property. So these are things we talk about with sellers. I wanted to bring it up with you. So again, another case study because these have been very popular. So again, this is an active listing in Princeton. I took the address out. So why do things sell the way they sell? So if you're listening to this on Spotify or in the car, I'm going to kind of walk you through the math. On YouTube, hopefully you can see the screen. This particular house came on at $899,000. I will not say the style, right? Because it's a specific style of house. The average sold for this style of house is $609 a square foot. This came on at $543 a square foot. So what does that mean? The probability of this house going up is significant. Going up significantly is significant, right? The other thing too is that this house is selling, they're asking a 1.63 multiple of the assessment. What does that mean? That means You take their assessed value of $551,000 times 1.63, you get to their asking price. So when you compare it against the multiple of the market's at 1.76, which is again higher. It's higher than the market, right? So this house is priced at a party price. What does that mean? It's going up. Where's it going to go up to? You want the answer to that? You can hire me as your agent. I'll tell you what we think and why. But this is another case study of why things happen the way they happen in the market. And if you're not working with the right agent and you don't get the right explanation, you're going to lose bid after bid after bid. We did a buyer consultation on Zoom with a customer who put in 3 offers in West Windsor last year. Well, this year, really. And it's just, they're exhausted. And not only that, but they're gun shy. So we did a consultation. We walked them through the math. We walked them through the 9 things in West Windsor's case, 8 things that determine pricing. And we talked about the exclusive buyer agency agreement. We talked about agency. We talked about all the math that goes into being an effective buyer. And I asked her point blank towards the end of the Zoom meeting, I said, have you seen anything like this before? She said, no, I wish I had met you a year ago. So again, choose your agent wisely. So that's this week's edition of the Wilton Report. If you have questions, obviously, feel free to text me at 609-773-8054. What do you get by working with us at the Wilton Group as your agent partners? You get the why. You get a strategy. Don't go into this market think you know more than the market. You don't. And don't think you know more than me, because you don't. So that's it for this week's edition. Reach out with questions or comments. If you haven't, please subscribe. It helps the broadcast. And if you know anybody thinking of buying or selling in the Princeton or Greater Princeton market, please feel free to share this episode with them. Hopefully, it will help. Thanks, everybody.